entrepreneurs and professionals of Tampa Bay. Welcome to your hour for getting the information, the tools, and the connections for elevating your business. Welcome to Getting the Edge with Kelly Wilson. And here's your host, Kelly Wilson.
Hey, good afternoon. Thank you so much for joining us today for Getting the Edge with me, Kelly Wilson. I am your host for the Getting the Edge podcast visual show. I'm not exactly sure what to call that. I have an amazing guest with me today. Today we have Andre Hampton. Thank you so much for joining us today. We're going to talk all about what Andre does because he's amazingly talented in multiple avenues. So we're going to talk about those in just a minute. But again, thank you for joining us. Edge is so much more than just a podcast. Edge, we publish business magazines and we have in the community. We're based in the Tampa Bay area. I am a community builder, a storyteller. I enjoy very much sitting down with so many great people and letting them share their stories. We can all learn so much from everyone. Edge is really a multi-platform media company that specializes in assisting small business owners with gaining visibility and prominence in the community. And we do that through our multiple platforms, and this being one of them. Again, the magazine. We have email newsletters, video products. We do commercials for online TV and radio. It's really all about highlighting the business owners in the community. So again, thank you so much for joining us. You can find out more information through our website at edgebusinessmagazine.com. So we have a brand new website that's launching in January. We're so excited about that. So a very exciting time with the Edge community. Again, we're based in Tampa Bay, which is an amazing city. And today we are at Genghis Khan Restaurant. It is a Mediterranean grill that's located 3114 West Beta Bay. If you are in the Tampa Bay area, come check out Genghis Khan. Ask for Ergen Tech. He is the amazing owner that's here. Ergen he'll be on one of our future shows. Ergen has a great story all on his own, has a great foundation called Feed the Need, and they do a lot in the community. So we look forward to talking with Ergen more. But come check out Genghis Khan and get your Mediterranean grill grub on. Is that how they say it, maybe? Okay, so anyway. Today we're here with Andre Hampton, and very excited to have you here with us today.
Thank you.
Now, you and I we've met through multiple avenues. You have a great, first we have a great, let's see, what is it? Factory 114. That's your one of your new endeavors, right?
That's the latest.
It's the latest.
It's the
Okay,
latest.
well, tell us a little bit about your background. I know you are one of the partners of Factory 114. You're also one of the managing directors for Streams Capital. You're also a real estate broker, and I could go on and on. I kind of lost track. So give us the rundown.
No, certainly. Andre Hampton. I'm the founder and managing director of Streams Capital. We're an investment advisory firm. We specialize in working with high net worth individuals, specifically to design and place life insurance and annuities inside a trust. I started this in 2012. I was kind of labeled a rogue agent where I was. I have a business background. I'm an entrepreneur background, and I saw a lot of things from the asset protection, estate planning side that I just didn't see the training of the other agents were taking into account when they were talking with their clients. So I wanted to make sure we kept those in there. So that was the foundation of Streams Capital. From there, some of the clients who we were meeting and talking to, they had some real estate assets, and I've got a background in real estate.
And we're going to touch on even those more in depth, but just kind of a quick. Tell me what I just interrupted you. I'm sorry. What did you just say? The Streams Capital.
Streams Capital.
Okay.
Then we formed Streams Real Estate a couple of years after that to manage a couple of assets. From there, launched Streams Capital RAA, which is a registered investment advisory firm, and then actually obtained a qualified office professional designation. So that dealing with family offices, centimillionaire, billionaire families. And part of that, what I wanted to do was take a lot of their strategies and be able to bring those to business owners who had built a business and they're looking to sell, maybe have assets between 8 and 25 million.
I think you talk almost faster than I do.
I will slow down. I apologize.
Just so that everybody, I can hear you, and but just so that everybody else can kind of gauge what you're saying. And I just want to say you do a lot, and you have a lot in your background. But I was very impressed sitting down with you because it's not just titles that Andre has. He actually, when you sit down and have conversations with him, I was blown away just by the in-depth knowledge that you had in so many areas. So anyway, I interrupted you again. I apologize. But can I go back to some of the, I never say that word right.
Which one?
Annuity.
Annuity.
That's it.
The annuities. Okay, so life and annuities inside of trust. Annuities.
Annuities.
Yeah, for me it was, it's about wealth preservation. I've always been an entrepreneur. I guess it's kind of an oxymoron in my personality. A lot of the work I do for my clients is very risk adverse, very safe lanes, but then I'm an entrepreneur at heart. So it's like I don't take risk over here, but
well, it's different for your clients. You're very cautious, I'm sure, for them, but in your own world, and that kind of lets you accommodate both your personality, kind of both sides of the personality.
Being an entrepreneur and a business owner, really a lifelong entrepreneur. Kind of started out my first business in telecommunications. That was kind of before, that was late 90s. That's kind of landed us in Tampa. But through that, just gaining knowledge, for asset protection, estate planning, and those types of things, being able to take that back and that mindset of, that thought process that goes long term, that's kind of what I wanted to specialize in.
Well, and I kind of just had a thought. Did you deal with maybe where you went through some hard times with, or even with the economic demise that we all just kind of went through? Did any of that kind of lead you into, hey, I need to kind of learn to specialize too in wealth preservation because of what I've experienced through this?
Yeah, more than a couple of times. Right out of high school, went to a VOTEC in Kansas. It was a 2-year program.
What is a VOTEC?
Vocational vocational school. So it was a step out of
tech-oriented.
Tech-oriented.
Okay.
So they actually they had a few different programs there. Telecommunications. They actually did cosmetology, welding. There's a few different things like that. But we specialize in telecom.
I kind of did something like that in high school as well. They had a career center, which offered a bunch of different things where you kind of opt out of getting out of the regular school, and you could go to that, the different. So yeah, very cool.
And from there, I was traveling all over the country. We're turning up fiber optic networks. This is the late 90s. Internet was just being born.
So was fiber optic new at that time? Okay.
Brand new. And the internet was just kind of rolling out and just kind of been deregulated then. There was a demand for bandwidth, so we saw the opportunity, hired 15 of my friends, and of course started the company right out, and we did well until 9/11 actually was like the last, 2000, 2001, just the dot-com bubble burst, all those really affected it, and then 9/11 just kind of
Yeah, you kind of think about that sometimes. There were like 2 major crashes, I guess, in the early 2000 and then 2004 to 5. I guess everyone experienced it at different times depending on what industry you were in.
Right.
But so that was more the dot-com.
Yeah, the dot-com bubble, then the NASDAQ melts down, and then, we kind of limped along for a year and, looking for other contracts. Then 9/11 happened, and it was just like, okay, that was it for that.
Right.
From there, that's when I got into real estate. Not directly, just kind of, roundabout as you do as an entrepreneur, but got into as a mortgage
kind of during the time when many people were getting into real estate because the real estate, right. I sold real estate for many years, and then it got to the point where you were almost, I didn't want to tell anybody I was a real estate person anymore because, me too. And I used to want to say, no, I've been in it 10 years. Anyway, okay.
I started studying just, wealth creation, and most, multimillionaires, billionaires, it's created either in the finance industry or in real estate. So if we're going to do it, let's do it in those two. And so I just really started to study that. So we pushed into real estate and did well with that until 06, 07.
But ultimately, real estate is a great investment, even if the market crashes and it loses value. Ultimately, once it's lost, there's where else it's going to come up eventually. You have to sit it out.
Yes, I learned seeking my mentors, you look at real estate based on what it will produce.
Right.
Not the value in that fluctuation. That's what everybody was doing in that. We were buying it thinking somebody's going to buy it for more than I bought it for. Yeah, we can hold it. We tell ourselves we can hold it for 10 years, write it out. We didn't lose our money. But when you buy a farm, I'm a farm boy from Kansas, it's about what that land's going to produce. You don't buy a plot of land thinking I'm just going to hold this forever and it's going to make me a bunch of money. So I learned that going through the crash, and it's really changed our thesis on how we would look at real estate investments today.
Interesting. So some of that again. So you don't necessarily look at the value of the farm for what it is, or no, you look at it for what it is, not for what it's going to become.
You look at it for what it can produce in any real estate asset. I was just saying out there, if it has one door, rent it. If it has a bunch of doors, buy it. But you do it based on what will this thing produce.
Interesting. Okay, so that took you in. Now, did we recap kind of everything that?
That probably brought us to 06. I know we're running short on time. 06 went through the crash. We were, flipping properties, things like that, and it wiped us out. So that was crash number 2. After that one, I really kind of dug in, learned the financial world, dug into banking, the financial system. You start hearing about hedge funds and, Wall Street, these guys, they ruin the market. So I started studying, that fund managers and those types of things, and realizing that, we can put together a fund. Let's do one in real estate and just kind of back engineer it. And it's been a long process from there, but that's a lot of the brickwork has been to ultimately get to where we launch our own real estate fund and kind of grow from there. So
I think kind of one of the conversations we had earlier that led us down this path of talking was wealth preservation. That's and kind of going through some losses that led us to being able to identify the gains.
That's right.
and how to gain going forward.
That's right.
And be prepared potentially for any future losses.
Because they're coming. That's right.
I want to talk Factory 114. I have been to a couple times, and it is a really cool co-work space in the Channel Side, Tampa area. So I want to talk about that a little bit as we go forward. What is the address for that location?
114 South 12th Street.
South 12th Street, right in Tampa. And there's so much development going on right around there. It's really just Tampa Bay overall, but the Channel Side area is very exciting.
It is. Water Street project going on. Sparkman Wharf's getting ready to open up. I mean, it's a completely different vibe in Tampa now than it was 5, 6, 7 years ago, definitely more than 10 years ago, and I just love it. It's awesome.
I taught one of a great business owner friend of mine was contemplating on buying a restaurant in downtown Tampa, and this was almost 10 years ago. And so many people said, you shouldn't do it, you might rethink that, don't do it. And looking back, he did it, anyway. And again, kind of he followed the signs and just really his own intuition. But thank goodness he did, because now looking back on everything, it's amazing. So. Streams Capital, what is your website for Streams Capital?
Streamscapital.com.
That's easy.
It's easy.
Okay, well, we're going to take a break. We'll come right back with Andre Hampton. So we'll be back. Stay tuned.
Hi, I'm Jerry from Hot Locks Hair Salon. We are conveniently located at 13414 US Highway 19 in Hudson. I've been a local hairstylist in our community for the last 34 years, 7 of which I was an educator. Our passion is the artistry of hair, and Hot Locks is here to help you achieve your perfect image. You can call us at 727-514-9978.
Thank you so much for joining us. Welcome back to Getting the Edge with me, your host, Kelly Wilson. Again, thank you so much for joining us. We are with the amazing Andre Hampton. Thank you so much for being with us today. Andre is multi-hat wearing, extremely talented, and not just in one kind of arena, in multiple. So we'll kind of talk a little bit more about that. Again, just wanted to say thank you to Genghis Khan in Tampa Bay, Mediterranean Grill. Come and check it out if you're in the Tampa Bay area, right on Bay to Bay, 3114, in fact. Okay, so we were talking recently about Factory 114. I keep wanting to say Studio 114. Was that like a big spot in I think it's Studio 54. That okay. I think that was a spot in the 60s, maybe 70s. I don't know. Sometime I think I was. My time, if you yeah, I might have been a tiny baby. But anyway, so Factory 114. I was able to visit there, and I said I've been there a couple times. An amazing loft type feel, and you have so many different rooms and moving parts, and there's so much opportunity there in that space. Tell us more in detail about 114 and the opportunities for other people to get involved with.
No, certainly.
Factory 114. I was going to say Studio 54 again.
Factory 114. That was a creation of a lot of things. One, I was looking for an office to move Streams Capital to get closer downtown. Also looking at maybe a live-work type situation. And then, of course, we had this amazing building, and it was an old warehouse, and parts of it had been redone. And cool. So we say, okay, what are we going to do with all the extra space? So thinking co-working, but co-working. My background as a business professional, if you will, there was always these times when I wanted to look for a accelerator program, or go to one of the somewhere where you could go get some help. Really just maybe SBA, maybe others. Anytime you search startup, you search accelerator, you search VC fund, any of that, it's always related to tech. I'm very thankful for tech, but we needed something designed for professional services. Who's going to help the guy who needs a license to go do what he needs to do? Maybe it's a barbershop. It could be, he's life and annuity. Maybe he's a CPA, you name it. But we wanted to be, design a place to help them to come in. It's very collaborative. The entrepreneurs that come in, everybody just wants to jump in and help each other. We've got some great marketing folks in there. They're just, they have their expertises, and they're just all, pulling together and helping this agent over here. And it's amazing.
That's what's so great too about entrepreneurship and entrepreneurs. We have that innovation and that, and once we have tapped into that for ourselves, we want to help others around us. So anyone else that has business ideas or that has a dream, and I'm an edge, and me personally, I'm all about helping people pursue their dreams. So. And that's exactly what I see you doing with Factory 114. So you have potential co-space available for people, and you have a great event space there as well.
It is.
So how can people get involved, or what is there certain pricing, or what? Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so for Factory 114, that all kind of created out. One, it was the address. Two, it was the name, and then we decided that we'd price it beginning at $114 a month. So to do the co-working, it's $114 a month. Very interesting fact: if you break down on what it takes to generate $1 million in revenue a year, and break that down, it's $114.15 per hour. So we thought that was an interesting tie-in too for entrepreneurs, or that's a milestone for them.
That's
so there's a lot of neat pieces there. So yes.
That's Andre and I have had a couple different conversations, but like I said, Andre has multiple hats and titles. What I found interesting is that you can elaborate so effectively on so many different avenues that is in relation to entrepreneurship and having a business. We were talking the other day, and I was trying to come up with some solutions, or kind of brainstorming about some options in regards to business and expansion, and you came up with some clever, creative, out of the box type thinking, and really, and not just came up with it, you actually came step by step of how we could do that, which I thought was amazing, and I just wanted to know more. Hopefully you're enlightening many other people in regards to that capability or opportunities as well.
I do. And you recognize the people who want that, they draw it out. I guess it's part of my personality style. I did a DISC assessment, told me I was a designer and C personality, like very compliant. You want things very exact, very right, but yet a designer, and you kind of figure out there's a way through whatever this puzzle is. So it's all those pieces. So you definitely want to, help others with that. A lot of times you want to help them more than they want to help themselves. So I've found that to be a challenge.
Well, and that's where it's really great to utilize other people's strengths. Because I had made the comment, oh, I would love to do this, but it's not necessarily in the cards right now. And you're like, no, wait, it definitely is, and this is how we can do it. Absolutely. And that was really cool, and it really got me excited. And it opened up kind of my mind to an avenue that I hadn't really thought was perhaps even an opportunity right now. Yeah. So through Streams Capital, you're able to do that. So what about like succession and helping business owners then pass the baton? Absolutely. Tell us about that a little bit.
No, that's really what I enjoy, helping clients who entrepreneurs, business people who built up a business. It's mom and pop. It's a family business. They built something, blood, sweat, and tears. It's been 10 years, 20 years. And they have something of value, and they want to see that either go to their kids, or they want to make sure that they're able to exit. They want to sell that and be able to live on what they're doing. So that's really why I like helping. Is they're in that stage, they're looking to sell, and they're forming different trusts. They're thinking about, of course, in today's there's all kinds of different scenarios. You might have a first wife, and there may be a divorce situation. We got a second wife. You have kids from the first wife. I've seen scenarios where, they started a business with a second partner and had a divorcee, but when the gentleman died, there was no kind of agreements in place, there was no trust in place, and everything went to, it wasn't the one who helped him build the business, it went to the ex-wife. And that wasn't what he wanted. Or there's scenarios where you want to take care of, children from your ex-wife, and you do have an agreement with a new spouse or partner, and or ex-husband. It goes to them, and then they decide, I'm going to give this to my kids with this other relationship and so your biological children don't get because of something like that. Sometimes not all the children want to participate in the family business.
Yeah.
So one of them does, and they want this, but they don't want to split it equally. It doesn't make sense. That's not fair. So all those scenarios come into play, and we're able to kind of help and figure out solutions for them. Say, okay, here's how you can do this. Here's how you can take the business. You still get some value. Or we just want to sell it, and you want to take it, you want to park it and just live off your interest income and know that it's enough to take care of your lifestyle. And you can maybe charitable gifting strategies, things like that, so we'll help design those.
That's one thing I'm trying to figure out is, again, I'm so fortunate to interview so many great people, and one of the questions that I've seen is, well, as business owners, many of us have children, and then we would love for our children to take over someday. But it's amazing how not all children think that same way, and many don't want to take that path. And then I've had the fortunate opportunity to sit down with great people that their children have come on board. So I've been trying to find some relation between why the ones have and why the ones haven't, and see if I can come up with like some scientific methodology to that. And unfortunately, I haven't done it yet, or haven't been able to come up with that. That
probably goes to what the experiences were in their upbringing.
Yeah, and so I've had them say, oh, well, they were raised in the business, and they since they were little, they've helped out and done this. But you hear that same story from many others where their children did not follow. Right, exactly. It almost backfires. They don't want anything to do with it from that point. So interesting. And now succession, I always kind of thought it was more of a passing the baton and giving it to your children, but it is a sale.
It is. It absolutely is. And if it's structured as a sale, I mean, there's always all the implications. You have a lot of tax implications that go around. So, I mean, depending on different gifting strategies, but if you do it right, you can mitigate those. You can reduce a lot of unnecessary taxes that don't have to happen. You can make sure that the right people get, the business. So it stays flourishing. Sometimes that, if you're not set up properly, you can take a, $4, $8, $10 million business and just turn it to zero inside of a year or two because it was poorly mismanaged, just because it didn't go to the right people.
That's another kind of compartment of your talents, as far as different things that you would mention and different things. Not that you don't want to give Uncle Sam like all of all of your money or as much as you can, but anything that you can save to help put back into the company for it to prosper and continue is a great thing as well. So you had some great tips on that as well.
Yeah.
So I guess we don't have too much time to elaborate even more on that.
Probably not, and I'm not I'm not a CPA, I'm not a tax attorney, so I mean, as a financial advisor, there's a lot of things we can talk about, in the trust in those scenarios. So I mean, it'd be something that somebody definitely wants to sit down with their advisors and go through those. But there are solutions out there to mitigate and reduce unnecessary. Not saying you don't want to pay your fair share, you absolutely do. But sometimes you can create situations where you're maybe doing a double taxation and just because you weren't aware.
Right. And it's definitely good to be aware. So, okay, well, I know we got a lot more to talk about, and there's a lot of questions that I want to ask too. And so we're going to take a quick break. But stay tuned. We'll be right back with Getting the Edge.
Hi, I'm Jerry from Hot Locks Hair Salon. We are conveniently located at 13414 US Highway 19 in Hudson. I've been a local hairstylist in our community for the last 34 years, 7 of which I was an educator. Our passion is the artistry of hair, and Hot Locks is here to help you achieve your perfect image. You can call us at 727-514-9978.
Welcome back to Getting the Edge with your host, me, Kelly Wilson. Thank you so much for being with us today. We are with the amazing Andre Hampton. He's a managing director for Streams Capital and partner for Factory 114.
We actually, Factory 114 is a subsidiary of Streams, so we own Streams.
Oh,
Yes.
Subsidiary of Streams. I like how that sounds. Again, thank you so much for being with us today. We've been talking to Andre just about all of his knowledge, which is a lot in regards, and just some of your experience, and just in regards to wealth preservation. And I kind of like that, and again, we are all about being honest and raw here. And I tell you what, like, sometimes you are overwhelmed with like financial people. Like, you go to networking events, you go anywhere, and there's just so many financial people. You are not a financial person. I mean, you are, but you're so different, and you offer so much more. So I'm just kind of putting that out there. I mean, and it is something that we all need to think about. And I love the way that when you talk about wealth preservation, and I like the fact that you got into this because of what you'd gone through.
Absolutely.
And I think that's what makes us even better at what we do when we've been through a crisis or a tragedy of some kind. It really then makes us think and helps us then prepare and proceed into the future, but with a little more knowledge. And what I think is great too about you is that you're willing to share that knowledge and help other people. Factory 114 is a great spot and co-work spot in the Channelside, Tampa area. And I think not only there do you get workspace, which is in a phenomenal kind of just surrounding in a feel-good place, but you also get Andre there to kind of help and guide you with questions. And just, again, I like that you think out of the box. And very cool, because you need to. And as entrepreneurs, most of us do, but sometimes when we're in our own business, it's a lot harder to kind of see the opportunities around some of the obstacles, right? That sometimes we can't see them. And that again is what is so great about bringing together so many great minds. And that's what it's all about, is us all learning from each other. Okay, so this is my favorite time. Well, I enjoy very much getting to know about you and your business, but I also enjoy asking all my favorite questions that I enjoy asking. Okay, but tell us a little bit. You mentioned earlier growing up in Kansas.
Yes.
So tell us about Kansas and that experience.
Okay, I grew up in a little tiny town called Larned, Kansas. Actually, I grew up 10 miles south of Larned, Kansas.
What is it called again?
Larned.
Larned.
Fort Larned, Kansas.
Oh, wow, okay.
It's on the Santa Fe Trail. It's south of Hays, Kansas, a little ways. It's a tiny town. There was 86 kids in my graduating high school class.
Oh my goodness, that is small.
We grew up 10 miles south of town, so it was a trek even to get to, that. Really out in the wheat field, on the farm. So that's where I grew up.
One thing, and again, we've had quite a few conversations. You are a mixed race, right? And now you are a little younger than I am, and I'm not, although I'm very proud to be my age. But so when we think about it, you grew up in a time where mixed race wasn't necessarily as acceptable as it is today.
Right.
What was that experience like growing up in Kansas as a mixed child?
I would say it actually has a direct impact on kind of who I am today and what I do today. My early experience, I remember getting on the bus first day of kindergarten. It's early morning, 6:30 in the morning. Mom walks me outside to the little bus. We get on the bus, and next thing I know, I'm just getting beat up. I'm getting punched in the gut. I'm getting called all kinds of names. And I realized that day that I was different and we were poor. And so the lights came on, and I really kind of became very aware of the differences. And there was a family. The house we grew up in was a house that we rented from a farm, wheat farmer. And of course, their house was maybe a quarter mile down the road. Big, beautiful house, White House. They had the big lawns, they had the nice cars, they had go-karts, four-wheelers, tractors, combines. One of their grandchildren was one of my best friends. We get to go over there and ride the go-karts, things like that. We go to church with them, so they were just wonderful people. So I saw them in that. It was, and there was others in church who had their own businesses, and just great people, very humble, very giving, and just so I saw that side of them. And then going through school and high school, you saw how everybody else treated that family, those kids and everything else. They definitely treated them like the rich kids in town. Well, respect, but in the same time, they would maybe respect to their face, but behind them, there's always the jabs that, they're rich because they took from this or whatever it is. They just, as a poverty mentality. So I saw that difference, and I realized that, no, they're very, the difference is how they handle their wealth and what they're doing with their money versus you don't have any and we don't, and why, let's fix this. So that was it.
So how long then did you live in Kansas? What brought you to Tampa? I don't want to like skip forward that fast, but did you go right from Kansas to the Tampa area?
No, actually, in the VOTEC, I was telecommunications, so we were traveling all over the country for the fiber network. So I mean, we got to travel, see, I mean, most of the states. That was, it was a great time. We were all over the place, different city every 2 days. Came to Florida in December of '99. It was 80 degrees out, and we had the beach, and it was green, there's palm trees, and we're like, we're staying here.
I can imagine.
So, and then the markets crashed, so we stayed here after that, and it was, so that's why we wound up in Florida.
Very interesting. It's interesting, and I was going to ask how long you've been in business, but we all have different, I guess, career phases too, and different guests we've had on. We've talked about, they may have been in their new business. Well, it's not new, maybe 5, 6, 10 years, but that's not when they started in the business world. Prior to that, they had decades that they had, or just different increments of time. So how long now? Well, we've talked about Streams Capital and Factory 114, but prior to that, like, as far as an entrepreneur, how long have you been an entrepreneur now?
I mean, as a kid, I was doing entrepreneur type things. Grew up on a farm, so we would go to the farm markets, the farmers markets, and be selling green beans. But one day, I'm there, we run out of green beans. We go down, buy green beans at a discount, come back, mark them up, sell out green beans, and make $15. I'm 5, 6 years old,
right.
So I mean, we would do things like that. Telecom, we started right out of high school, so I was maybe 19 when that was going on. Prior to that, I did get to work with my dad. He had started a nurse staffing agency in Kansas. It grew to be one of the largest in Kansas at the time. So I got an intern there. I got to go in and work and see that back end of that.
That's great. I was going to ask if your parents were entrepreneurs as well. So did they encourage you to dream?
Absolutely. They did. Even, both of them did. I guess encouraging to dream and start a business kind of gets wrapped into one side of those. So, right. But absolutely.
So I guess I was going to ask, did you always know you wanted to own your own business? But I'm thinking yes.
I can't do anything else but.
Right, that's so funny. So was there anybody in your childhood that stuck out more than others as far as inspiring you as a child?
I would say, there's probably 2 or 3, and it's the families I spoke of. They were probably some of the most, Then, of course, my parents, seeing my father, seeing some of his entrepreneur, just his background, things he did. You see the struggle, you saw both sides of that, so I definitely respected that. But I really would say, growing up and getting to experience time with those families in the arenas we did was probably the biggest impact.
Since you faced such diversity growing up and as such a young person, which I was going to say is unfortunate, you have to kind of go through that, but at the same time, it really empowered you to become who you are today. What tips can you give to other people that could be going through something similar, that helped you kind of plow through things? I'm not sure what to...
Yeah, sometimes focus. Sometimes it is. It's focus.
And you can't let it hurt you. You can't take it personally and hold it down, but that's...
Yeah, I think realizing that, there is no overnight success, that is it's a 10-year, it's a decade-long overnight success. So knowing that it's going to be a process, but seeking mentors, just figuring out what are the things that you don't know. Those would probably be some of the biggest things.
Figuring out what you don't know that you don't know.
It's always the things that you don't know that you don't know that get you. I
like that. Throughout your career, have you ever had to raise capital for any of your business ventures?
I've needed to. We've always bootstrapped everything though, so it's been interesting. We've bootstrapped our businesses. We are in the process of preparing and actually launching a capital raise for a real estate fund right now.
Okay.
So it is that in a sense, but it's kind of like that as a service too. So it's unique. And
I was going to ask any tips on that you could provide.
No tips right now. I'm learning all the tips. Actually, I would take that back. Blinders down, just working on building. Really wasn't out networking and meeting all the investors who I really need to say, hey guys, we've got all these investors lined up. So what I did was, studied the market and figured out, okay, if I can't get out to the investors, how do I get the investors to me? And that was, how do we go through and really raise our profile, do these things that we need to on the back end. So the product's right, the people are right, the team's right, and investors, you see that, they want to come in and be a part. And that's really what the strategy we've taken.
Right. No, that's great. Okay, so over the years, you've put different teams together. What advice, what have you found to be kind of a niche in building a team?
Finding people who are hungrier than you and are looking, who want to be team members. You know, it's easy to find people to get excited about your idea because you're an entrepreneur, you see this and you can build the excitement and people come in, oh yeah, I want to help, I see this, and then just not, you know, and just like, okay, what happened? And they do, but there's not the drive of, you know what, we're going to put the 1, 3, 10 years behind doing what really needs to be done to get this off the ground.
Right.
So I'd be, you know, it's really finding those people, aligning with them, making sure that personalities are matched, good fits. After going through a DISC assessment, I would definitely recommend that for any team.
And you've mentioned that a few times.
I have. It was very empowering for me. You know, I've known my strengths, I've known my weaknesses. You know, my wife told me all those things too. So you hear those, but actually sitting down and reading it in a scientific format was very empowering. You know, it showed me really, here's your strengths, here's why you are the way you are.
One quick question before we take a break. When, as far as where should you spend your time? Fine-tuning your weaknesses or further developing strengths, in your opinion?
In my opinion, focusing on your strengths.
Focusing on strengths, okay. So I always love asking that question.
I'm a firm believer that everybody has special gifts. You know, everybody's good at something they're just naturally just good at. And if they can focus and hone that, they can become just, there's where your prodigies come from. Yes, absolutely.
All right, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back with Getting the Edge.
Hi, I'm Jerry from Hot Locks Hair Salon. We are conveniently located at 13414 US Highway 19 in Hudson. I've been a local hairstylist in our community for the last 34 years, 7 of which I was an educator. Our passion is the artistry of hair, and Hot Locks is here to help you achieve your perfect image. You can call us at 727-514-9978.
Welcome back to Getting the Edge with your host, me, Kelly Wilson. Thank you so much for being with us today. We've had an exciting day, a great opportunity to talk with Andre Hampton. Just to recap, Edge is, we have a podcast, we publish business magazines. Edge is with Edge, it's not only business, it's personal. We offer a multi-platform, multimedia platform with a variety of great resources for Tampa Bay or business owners, period. So again, we're extremely happy to be here. And anyway, so we're going to wrap up in our last segment here some great questions so we can really get inside your brain and get to know you a little bit better. Okay, what has been the toughest lesson, or what lesson has taken you the longest to learn? Is there something that really maybe resonated earlier in your career that you maybe dismissed and then now it's back? And
I would say learning to slow down and delay important decisions. A lot of times as entrepreneurs, we want to make quick, fast decisions and act on them. I've learned, from a lot of actually developer clients to delay them, park them, wait. Right. And not even make the decision.
Yeah, I have actually made the mistake. I kind of think, or maybe not, because maybe by delaying it, sometimes making no decision is a decision by itself. You continue to put that decision off and off and off, and then I realized later that I'd actually made a decision by not making a decision.
Everybody's always, afraid they're going to miss the opportunity, but the reality is there's another opportunity right around the corner. If you're waiting for the right ones start coming along, and you're able to go through those.
Right, true. Okay, if you could go back in time, we'll say 25 years, what advice would you give your younger self?
Advice I'd give my younger self would be to only work half a day and to figure out
talked about that half a day thing before, though.
Yeah, first half or the last half,
right.
Doesn't matter which one.
That's so funny.
No, figuring out earlier on how to shut it off, and go be with people, family, and just go. That's been the hardest thing for me, is just really shut it off. You can be there, be present, but you're not present.
I'm sure many of us can agree to that. I'm the same way. Are you fine-tuning your turn-off switch? We talked with the amazing Laura Scott earlier, and Laura was she kind of helps with a lot of that. But good. Yeah, I definitely recommend Laura. She can help you with that. What is, because it changes different times. I ask people, what is your definition of success today?
Today, I say actually defining a plan, executing a plan to a good end, and that's a lot of what you just don't see. And we have lots of great ideas. That's our motto at Background for where great ideas happen. There's ideas all over the place, but actually just getting one down, getting it planned, getting it executed to a good end, that's right. What I call success.
What might people be surprised to know about you?
Oh my, right. I guess that I am from a little tiny town in Kansas. That's one of the biggest things. Everybody, they want to throw in Wizard of Oz jokes, stuff like that, especially in Florida.
I can imagine.
Yeah, I guess just being down here mixing with people, and they realize that you're from, it's a great place. It was just from the little tiny town in Kansas. And like,
now, does your family still live in Kansas? Do you
I've
have
got family in Kansas. I have family here, so everybody's kind of.
So do you go to Kansas back? Do you go back very often?
We go back occasionally, not too often, but.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you have a favorite quote?
Favorite quote, yes, Gloria Copeland. She said, "The sun will shine on anybody that'll get out in it."
I like that.
You know what? It's there for you. It's a matter of just go out, go seek it, go get some immersed in it, and.
One of my favorite quotes and kind of what an Edge philosophy is Henry Ford's, "If we're all moving forward together, then success takes care of itself." I love that, but I love quotes. And I'm surprised that I said that right, because normally I fudge them up, and I'm like, wow, it really comes out a lot better when someone else says it. But anyway, so I'm always interested to know your favorite quotes. Okay, best book you've ever read?
One that really changed how I trajectory, I would say, would be Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Oh, really?
Absolutely.
I've had a few people say that.
Absolutely. I'd always had a business entrepreneur mind, but really going through the crashes and reading that book shows you how the rich operate differently. It's not that they're necessarily smarter, they just do things differently. If you can figure out this and work it for a little while, work the system, it works.
And you really have a story about resiliency. It doesn't matter, and I think that's one of the quotes. It's a quote too, I think. It doesn't matter how many times, maybe Muhammad Ali said it, or one of the great, and it doesn't matter how many times you get knocked down.
Right.
It's about how many times you get back up.
Yeah.
And really, we talked about the 10 years and it taking 10-year overnight success kind of thing. I mean, you don't just get there. You get knocked down so many times. And what I think is great is all the great people I get to interview, and they talk about, it's never just about their overnight success. It's about all of their trials and tribulations and everything they had to do to get to where they are today. And you have a great story of resiliency. So, and I think it's contagious, I think, really, which I think is great about Factory 114, because some of those earlier entrepreneurs that are starting out too you can be very impactful in their lives. And I know it changes for everybody. On average, how many hours a week, because we talk about the shut-off switch and working all the time, how many hours a week do you think you sleep? Or let's say daily. Like, how many hours a night do you have to sleep?
6.5 hours.
And how many hours? And then we kind of joked earlier about working half the day, and we don't mean 9 to 5 hours and half of that. We mean half a day, a 12-hour period, first half,
Do you
second
want
half.
8 to 8, or you want 8 to 8? Which
Right.
half?
How many hours? And again, it's different because we're all in different stages of our career. But how many hours do you work a day?
Outside of sleep, I try to go walk. I haven't been as faithful as I need to with that, but I try to go walk 4 or 5 miles a day, at least 5 or 6 days a week. So that would take a couple hours out. But other than that, I mean, right now it's a live-work situation, so there's no traffic. I walk downstairs, and we're doing something by 8 a.m. and it's 8 or 9 before we're stopping, and maybe go for a walk and get ready to do it again the next day. So,
All right, very cool. What is one characteristic that you believe that every leader should possess?
How to listen to your team and how to bring the right team members together. Absolutely.
What we talked about, you mentioned your favorite book. Are there other resources that it's kind of your go-to to kind of keep continuously learning and enhancing the mind?
Absolutely. No, seeking mentors, and a lot of times people think that comes from physical, finding people in the community that'll help, and that actually is true. A lot of times when you maybe can't afford that, the public library is there, and all these guys have written books. So go get their books, and that's really where a lot of studying them all, reading stacks of books, and so yes.
What we talked briefly on partnerships, you mentioned, and it was kind of more in regard to the trust and like how you have things set up. What is your opinion and viewpoint on business partnerships?
They can be great when they're great.
They can be really bad
They
when
can
they're really
be,
bad.
yeah. Again, like a marriage, I know it's very cliche, but spend time. You hear a lot of, hey, I found a partner, we're starting up, we're ready to go, and there's a year or 2 or 3 process of just getting to know somebody long enough, well enough that you're going to be able to trust them, saying we're going to actually go build and do something here. Rarely does that come together inside of a week or 2 or 3 or.
Yeah, in my opinion, it's like, a business partnership is like a marriage. It's a business marriage, and with a marriage, everything's great in the beginning, and then things change and people change. So even though it's great today, how can we all be assured it's going to be great tomorrow? I guess there are no guarantees.
In business, just know it's not going to be great. So how are you going to deal with those challenges? Because they're coming.
And communication.
Absolutely.
Actually, again, just from talking with great people, communication and respect of one another, and really appreciating other people's opinions.
Absolutely.
Because again, we don't have all the answers. So we talked about a few. What about an exit strategy? Do you have an exit strategy someday?
Planning one. Planning one, of course, for our fund, for the investors, and then for ourselves with Factory 114. We're actually looking at, we'd like to scale that. We want to launch an accelerated program in that. Factory 114 is really geared toward professional services. We want to really help, real estate agents, life and annuity. It could be, maybe it's a barber shop. They need a license to do what they want to do. So we want to put together an accelerated program to help those people, one, get their, their pitch refined, work on their sales. Start looking at getting some things published. It may not be a book right now, but they need content. They need blog posts, they need white papers, they need some kind of content, helping them with their profile, so they can, get visible in the community, and then help them systematize and scale that. So we want to be able to help the community. I know it's tough. You can be a real estate agent and you get your license, you're all gung-ho, you run out of friends and family, and now all of a sudden you're not making any money. Right. What do we do? Right. So we want to help those folks, and we really believe that we can take this and kind of, scale this.
And I guess I asked, do you have one? How important, and we're going to wrap up in a second, how important is it to have an exit strategy?
I think that's become a coin phrase from our tech, startup world, and the goal is to become a unicorn or to have an exit. A lot of entrepreneurs are just entrepreneur till the day they die. Right. So exit, I would say, is, yes, you want to have something that maybe you sold to build that security, that foundation, but a lot of times it's going to go right back into the next building. So your exit is just, how does this leave a legacy? How do we leave this for our kids or charities, or what impact do we want to leave behind? And then kind of go from there. So your exit can mean just growing and enjoying those fruits. Right. Sometimes the exit is we want to sell and go to the Bahamas. Yeah,
it's not such a bad thing. All right, Andre, how can people get in touch with you? We talked about streamscapital.com.
Yes.
And Factory 114, does that have a direct website as well?
That website is I Love Factory 114. They can find it by the locations. They can also find me at andrehampton.com, okay. LinkedIn and Instagram.
Great, and you can always reach out to right through Edge at info@edgebusinessmagazine.com. We'd be happy to personally connect you with Andre as well. So we're going to wrap up there. Thank you so much for being with us today. Thank you so much for joining us for Getting the Edge. We'll be back weekly with great business leaders in the community to share their story. And again, we can all learn so much from each other's journey. So again, check out Edge, edgebusinessmagazine.com. We have so much exciting things going on with the new magazine issue and new website coming soon. So again, info@edgebusinessmagazine.com. I'm Kelly Wilson. Have a great day. Thank you.